Bill here. I'd like to talk about discoveries. In this position, the white rook is lined up with the king. If the bishop moves, it'll be a discovered check. The bishop won't be giving check, but the rook will. It's effectively having two moves in a row with the piece that does the discovery. So white moves the bishop, discovered check with the rook, and next move we'll be able to take the queen, because if the king moves, the bishop will take the queen, or if the queen moves to block, the bishop can take it anyway. So there are discovered checks and discovered attacks. Sometimes if the piece that gives the discovered check, so in this case the knight, moves, it gives check at the same time. So white makes a move in this case, and it is double check, and in this case it's mate. In a double check, the king must always move. This is because even if you could block the check by one piece, you could not block the check by both pieces. Even if you took one piece, you could not take the other piece. In a double check, the king must always move. Here's another double check, this time with a rook and bishop. So it's the bishop moves, double check and mate, because the king has no moves. Here we have a double check and mate, rook and bishop, mate. Here we have a double check with pawn and rook, mate. Okay, so not quite sure what that diagram's doing. Perhaps that's meant to be a white knight. I think the knight was meant to go there, check. Okay, so now a bishop can bishop can create a discovery on a rank or file. Bishop takes the pawn, check, and next move takes the rook. A pawn can create a discovery by moving forward. Check. A pawn can make a discovery by capturing. A pawn can make a discovery check by capturing on a file as well as on a rank. A knight may move and unblock two pieces. Look at this. So discover check, and we unblock the bishop as well. Now in this position, the white knight is blocking the bishop, which is on the line of this knight, the queen, the rook, and the other rook. So effectively, the knight is creating four discovered attacks. So discovered check is when the discovery leads to checking the king. A discovered attack is when you attack anything else. Let's have a look. Knight moves and attacks the rook as well. So yeah, there's a lot of things under attack. Wow, look at all those attacks. Okay, so a queen can never move and give a discovered check because it'd be check already. So imagine if this is the position the white queen and move and gave check. It's not possible. But sometimes if the queen could make a discovered attack, for in this case the bishop's lined up with the black queen, so the white queen moves away with check, and that's a discovered attack on the queen. So here we've got a discovered check attacking the bishop. In this case, black can escape by defending the bishop at the same time. Now this is interesting. We've got the bishop's lined up ready for a discovered check, but the rook's under attack. So what does white do? So if white goes back though, he blocks the attack on the rook. The next move he can take the bishop. And though in this case the bishop can run back, but maybe the bishop could now attack the pinned bishop and win it. Okay, so here's a discovered attack where the attacking piece attacks the piece behind, so it's a skewer as well. So you go check, discover check on the king, and it's a skewer. So we've got a discovered check as soon as we move the rook, So what we want to do is we want to block the rook from taking the bishop. So we go check, and next move we can take that rook. So yeah, so here we want to move the bishop, but we want to stop the bishop taking the rook, so we just move it back, and next move we take the bishop. And now, discovered check with a king. Yes, even a king can give a discovered check. So the king moves, attacks the undefended bishop, and wins it, because it's check from the rook. Now, we're going to watch the queen taking the bishop, so we give a discovered check and block the attack on the bishop at the same time. And all that's happened here is the king and queen positions are switched. So this time, instead of being a discovered check, it's a discovered attack, but comes to the same end, we're going to win the queen. So now, yeah, so discovered check is like having two moves in a row with a piece that unblocks the checking piece. So what can the knight do in two moves? It can come back and take the queen next move. So again, we get discovered check, wins the queen. Discovered check, wins the queen. Now this is an interesting one. We've got pawns in contact with each other. A pawn capture is a discovered attack on the queen, and it's check. Now the rook could block and the king could go over, and that'd be perpetual check. But if we go back one square, we win the exchange. Okay, so we have, if the rook moves, we have discovered attack on that rook. So we'll see what happens. Rook gives a check, king, and when the king moves, the bishop will take the rook. The king move there, we'd probably do a discovered check first. So when the king moved, there would be nothing defending the rook. Okay, so sometimes discoveries are useless. In this case, the piece that reveals the discovery is on a black square. It's a black square bishop, and black has nothing it can capture. So sometimes discovered checks come to nothing. Sometimes a discovered check is a capture. It's like having two captures in a row. So here we've got a discovered attack on the queen, so we don't care if we sacrifice the bishop, we're going to win the queen. Again, we're going to discovered attack with a pawn capture, so we end up winning the bishop. Now we've got to be a bit careful. We want to move the knight and attack the rook, but we want to make sure this is defended as well. So when we check, we attack the rook and defend this at the same time, so white wins the exchange. So here we make an exchange to create a discovered attack. So we exchange, and at the end of it, we get the rook. Got to be a bit careful here. We've got the rook and knight lined up on the queen, but if we take the knight, the queen will take and escape. So instead we check on the empty square and win the queen. So here, two moves in a row, we can get that rook. So we give knight check, and next move we take the rook. Now here, white's in check, but sometimes you meet a check with a check, and one of the ways is with discovered check, so the king moves out of the way, and next move white takes the rook. Now, what we've got here, we've got a discovered check here. It doesn't lead to that much. So what white does, first of all, pins the queen and decoys the queen to a square where the discovered check now wins the queen. And also white will promote as well. So here we've got if that was a queen, there's a good chance we'd have a smothered mate. But if we give a check with the knight, there's no smothered mate, but if black takes, there's a back rank mate. If black walks into the discovery, white can win the queen. Okay, another discovered attack, winning the queen. Another discovered check, winning the queen. Another discovered check, winning the queen from a different square. Okay, so now, this is the sneaky trick worth remembering. The knight attacking the pawn in front of the king, so we can threaten mate, and we threaten the discovered check to win the undefended black queen at the same time. So when black stops the mate, say by moving one of the pawns forward, we now have discovered check sorry, a discovered attack, winning the queen. So another situation where we'd like to move the pawn up, discovered check will lead to mate. The queen's in the way, so we think, how can we get this queen out of the way? So at all costs, we move the rook down, even though we lose the exchange. Bishop takes, pawn takes, discovered check, and that's a beaut because we're going to win that rook in the corner and get a queen. So the king moves and we get the pawn to the ends and mate next move. When the queen goes back, we'll take it. Okay, so that's the end of discoveries, and thank you for watching.